So chapter 1 of Gibbons discusses scaffolding language and learning, and I'm just going to go through the chapter here directly because I have the e-text of the book. It begins with an introductory story, and what I thought was very interesting about this was how it what it has to do with English language learners, specifically this quote right here I would like to point at, which says treating EL learners as the people they can become means that we see students not in terms of what they lack, which is in their case they don't have this full grasp or control of academic English, but as capable and intelligent learners who, with the right support, as teachers we can give them the right support, they're able to participate in learning and achieve academically as their English speaking peers. So I really thought that was interesting and important to focus on. As teachers, we do need to make sure we give these students the support they need and challenge them enough in order to get them to succeed in the classroom. So to continue, there are two different types of context regarding language and context. So there's a context of culture and there's a context of situation. So dependent on these different contexts is how language varies and how language is used differently within these contexts. Also, learning to make language explicit. This section focuses in on how, as children get older, they learn how to use more explicit language that makes understanding more clear, as well as moving toward academic language. Right here we can see the different ways how the sentences develop into more academic language. And as for English language learners and language learning in school, unfortunately there has not been enough done to get English language learners to get to where they need to be. And more specifically here, it discusses how English language learners they need to have the opportunity and time to learn the subject-specific registers of school, and they need ongoing language development across the entire curriculum and recognition by all teachers that they are teachers of English, not simply of subject content. So this is very important for us as future educators. For me specifically, I need to know that I am not just teaching social science, I am also teaching the language, and I need to also be aware of the language demands of my content area as well. And regarding the lone learner, so there's been much evidence that shows that this is not the best way to approach this. Instead, we need to use more of a social view of learning, which emphasizes the social and collaborative nature of learning and language development as occurring between individuals, not just individually. And this also takes us to the zone of proximal development and scaffolding. As for the zone of proximal development, what I like to think of is this is like the baby steps that children and students can take to get to do something on their own. So at the beginning, the teacher or parent might be showing them or assisting them more hands-on, but throughout the zone of proximal development will decrease and the student will eventually be able to do whatever task it is on their own. And this directly has to do with scaffolding as well, which scaffolding is the assistance that's used temporarily for a teacher to help a learner know how to do something so that eventually the learner will be able to complete a similar task. So scaffolding is extremely important with English language learners. In order to get them to eventually do the task on their own, we need to provide scaffolding and support to get them there. But we also need to make sure that we challenge them as well. So teachers need to challenge the students and maintain high expectations of them as well, which gets us to the final part of the chapter, which is a high challenge and high support classroom. Here we can see on this chart that this is of extreme importance, and we need to create classrooms that are both high challenging and have high support for our students to benefit all students as well as English language learners. Thank you.